We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello. Welcome to an emergency edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast. Matt and Brandon here, joined by the FC Fanatic, Matt Huber.
Repeat that. Repeat that whole thing.
Oh, you said 5 seconds and then go.
I know.
Hello. Welcome to the Keeper's Corner podcast, emergency edition. Matt and Brandon here, joined by FC Fanatic, Matt Huber.
This is why I stopped doing videos.
Listen, it was thrown together at the last second. Okay, I blame him. So
I gave you guys a couple. Look, I asked if you guys wanted to do it. You said yes. You had a few hours. I just couldn't update the assets until I got home.
I just got out of the hot tub and I'm good. Got some good Cajun food waiting for me. So
ooh, nice. Yeah, late night edition to discuss the fallout from the DRC's review of a few plays that took place on Sunday.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the other thing that happened today. Oh,
the thing that
you mean the part with San Diego getting the combine?
Oh no, I already knew that. Not the other thing.
The other thing.
The other, yeah.
Oh, the thing where I learned that there's apparently another streaming channel out there that I'm not subscribed to.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
So we can talk about this. We probably should, since those don't really affect Utica at the moment. Yeah, this is more Utica centric, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna read it all. It's gonna be boring, and then we'll talk about it. MASL Discipline Review Committee reviewed the foul committed by KC Comets player Christian Andreos and Utica City FC player Fafa Godoy during the second quarter of Utica City FC v Kansas City Comets game on Sunday, March 10th, 2024. Review of this tackle just revealed that Christian Andreos committed a very reckless and dangerous challenge on Rafa Godoy along the boards, which resulted in a serious injury. So that's not good news.
Not particularly.
Yeah. After extensive review and deliberation, the DRC unanimously agreed that this violent tackle shall result in an additional yellow card being issued to Andreos on top of the blue card given during this game. An additional penalty point for the yellow card will be issued as well.
Now, mind you, this was Tuesday. This happened Tuesday, right?
Yes. Yeah. These first two were announced Tuesday. The third one was announced Wednesday. Second one. MASL Review Committee also reviewed the incident involving Rian Marquez of the KC Comets and Nelson Santana. During the second quarter, blah, blah, blah. During the incident, Marquez was penalized with a blue and yellow card for striking foul against Santana. After thorough review of the video footage of the incident, the DRC unanimously agreed that this intentional, deliberate, severe striking offense will result in a red card and 1 game suspension. And all right, I guess we are going to refresh this page per instructions from Jack. And as stated, Fafa Godoy is dead. There is only the Rafa.
Ah, yay! I was worried about Fafa.
Yeah. I'm glad Fafa's okay. I'm sorry that Rafa's not.
Fafa won't be on the injury report. I'm sure Rafa will, but not
Yeah,
Fafa.
most likely.
After thorough review of the footage, blah, 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 they unanimously agreed that it was intentional and deliberate severe striking offense, resulting in a red card and a 1 game suspension. Suspension will be served immediately. And then today, 24 hours after we thought the review committee was done reviewing things, so we had a pending review of contact made between Santana and Brian Marquez during that blah, 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 blah. Video evidence shows that during the contact, Santana is clearly seen striking Marquez on the top/back of his head. After review of the additional video footage of this incident between Santana and Marquez, the DRC unanimously agreed that this intentional and deliberate strike to the head of Marquez will result in Nelson Santana receiving a red card and 1 game suspension. Boy, redundancy is redundant in all of these statements.
So much redundance.
The red card will be served immediately after his current 1 game suspension for penalty point accumulation, and he will receive an additional penalty point. So how do we feel about all this?
Okay. I do agree that Nelly should have gotten a card. I understand the suspension. At least from the video, if it's the one that we saw, like literally right before,
where he kind of drops the soft hammer.
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't play out the whole thing, but it didn't look like he hit him in the head.
Yeah, I saw upper shoulder back, but intentional strike nonetheless.
Intentional strike nonetheless. He still deserved what he got, unfortunately. And I mean, I was honestly surprised about Marquez, not getting
immediately.
Even a red pretty much immediate. I mean, it's not a boxing match out there, fellas. But I guess it wasn't severe enough. It wasn't like he put a ton of power behind it and just hauled off and decked him in the face. So I guess maybe that's
body blow jab versus like a right hook to the face is what you're saying.
Yeah, just a quick shanking. Nobody saw it.
Shanking isn't really a part of the MASL rule book. So I mean, you'd have to put in like something in there that kind of compares the severity to these. I think you have to look at the severity of each of these things broken down. And I think let's look at the Santana Marquez. Okay. Well, we'll look at that first. So there were multiple videos of this on in the box, and what I saw. This is what I saw. Santana did go for the back of Marquez's head, but he also lifted his head up, making it look more of a, like, I think it was kind of like boom, like that. Do I see a red card? No. Do I see a yellow card? Yes. Do I see a blue card? No. I think the DRC kind of took it a little too far with this one. I think the Christian Andreos tackle is more severe than the hit to the. I understand they're all about contact above the shoulder, or in my case, contact above the head. But that tackle was reckless, and the thing that gets me is, and I don't know, maybe he went back to check on him, but after he tackled him, he went right to the bench, didn't care whatsoever.
Yep, fair.
So I think he knew what he was doing. Because if I mess something, if I smack someone in the face on accident, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I didn't see you there, or I didn't, whatever. I don't smack someone in the face and then run off, and like that just shows intent, I think. And I think that injury is a little more severe than the Santana foul or red.
Well, I mean, considering, Marquez and Santana both were able to walk off the field, it definitely shows that was not as severe as the Andreos tackle. Plain and simple.
The fact he wasn't even close to the ball. If you watch it, the ball is 6 feet in front of Fafa or Rafa, his twin.
His evil twin, yeah.
He wasn't even close.
Yeah. No. I guess, Brandon, do you have any different take on this, or are we pretty much in agreement?
I think we're pretty much in line. I mean, I'm, like I said, I understood kind of why Nelly did get an additional suspension. I think it was a little bit of, I don't want to say politics, but just, people saw what he did and it was like, hey, tit for tat here. Let's.
And it was like, let me speak to your manager.
Yeah, it's like one strike, deserves another suspension, deserves another, is basically the way that I kind of read it. And yeah, I definitely feel like the Andreos tackle, like I said, I definitely felt like there most likely was, it's like you said, some intent behind it. There just didn't feel like, I don't know. It definitely felt like he wasn't. He was going for the ball, but happy accident.
The ball wasn't even close to him when he stuck his.
Like, yeah, I'll have to rewatch that bit to see if he even sticks around or just takes off. Like you said, Matt, I want to, before I start judging intent on that, because it's a lot harder to judge on that.
He ran to the bench. As soon as he did it, he ran to the bench.
Yeah, that does.
So
that would tell me that he knows what he did.
What happened after that, but
yeah. As for the other two, I will say intent is probably the reason why Santana got the red. Yeah. Like it's a clear, I'm intending to strike you. Plus the history of Santana as a physical kind of like, it's kind of like Huffman. Like, you're on thin ice already just because of your history as a player.
It's kind of, I know there was intent, but there's also the fact that he tilted his head back to make it, I don't know, he must have felt something and kind of did a knee-jerk reaction, something like that. So was there a lot of intent? I think it's somewhere in between a blue and a red. A red is boom. A blue is a little love tap. I think what happened was somewhere in the middle. So blue and yellow, I think, I get the red. I get it.
Like they showed that during the.
I guess my question is why wasn't this with the other review of the incident? It's like on Wednesday or Tuesday or whenever it happened.
Yeah.
The results of the DRC came out and someone didn't like it. Let me speak to your manager, and then they're like, "Okay, well, we'll look again." It makes you wonder. So I mean, I'm going to go off the trail here for a second. The Gustavo Rosales tackle or leg lock on Tavoy Morgan, and Craig Elston even said it himself. He was going after Tavoy Morgan's nipples.
Yeah.
Nipplegate. Where was the DRC for that? Because I could see that being more. If Tavoy Morgan's saying, I got bit, and he's got him in a leg lock, and he's trying to get out.
Yeah.
There should be a lot more to that one.
Yeah, that one was something to behold watching that one happen.
Yeah, I don't know what the process is of having the DRC review something. If the general manager or the owner is like, hey, can you take a look at this again? Or
I can't
every week or something like that.
I can't remember who it was we talked to. It might have been Paul or maybe Tommy or Nordberg when we were out in California, but it came up, and I believe it's where it's up to the teams to reach out to the league and say, hey, we want you to review this play. And then the league will look at it. So if that's the case, it kind of comes across that KC was just like, we're not going to have them look at it. What happened, happened. And then Utica was like, no, we think we got screwed on a couple calls. Look at it. And the DRC.
Honestly, I think it's the other way around, to be honest with you. I think Kansas City, as soon as they saw they had Andreas and Marquez, they're like,
it's on the disciplines page. Scroll to the bottom.
Yeah, there was someone else involved in this little kerfuffle, and they didn't get anything. I mean, granted, he did get a 1-game suspension.
Following guidelines.
So it was already a 1-game suspension for point accumulation.
Okay. Just I found the note that I believe we're talking about. I would assume it is the rectifying clear and obvious referee error.
I think that's it.
Because it is literally the very last thing on the page.
Brandon, you want to read that off?
Oh, sure. A team may request a review of a red card to rectify a case of clear and obvious error of the decision of a referee. Within 24 hours of the completion of a match, teams must send written notice detailing the rationale for the appeal and include video evidence supporting the appeal. The decision must be unanimous. The disciplinary review committee is not re-refereeing the game. It is rectifying clear and obvious errors in the referee's decisions. Therefore, if it is not obvious, then it does not need to be rectified. So I'm assuming this kind of falls under... When it says a team may request a review of a red card, I'm assuming here that it was interpreted as the lack of a red card, as there was no red card to review at the time.
Yeah. So in that case, so Utica put in a request to have the look at it. The DRC had its gave said findings, and Kansas City said, I need you to review the review.
Yeah, because all the videos started coming out from the Kansas City fans. They were like, what are we doing? There's another red card in this game.
Yeah.
Which is not a great look if you're Kansas City being like, yeah, our fans had to come to our defense.
If you're going to do that, you might as well. I mean, Pete in Section 212 might have a great video of a ball going in and sends it to Tommy Tanner. Like, oh, Tommy, it's a goal. And then Tommy just sends an email. Oh, Pete in Section 212 has a great angle of this, and it should be a goal. Like, it shouldn't be. We shouldn't be the ones refereeing the game. It should be the referee. So, the first rule or the first rulings should have been. I mean, I'm not saying because you can whatever, but the first one should have been. Okay, this is the ruling. Okay, Andreas, blue plus yellow. Marquez, 1-game suspension. Santana's already got a 1-game suspension. Throw a yellow card on. Whatever. That should have been it. Instead of, now hang on. We're going to throw the red flag again. We're going to have you review that. Because this 7 fans have videos and evidence of what happened.
So here's the funny thing about it. It states right in it. It says it has to be completed within 24 hours of the end of the match. So if they didn't hear about it, or at least have it on their list to review, and we won't know if they were in the middle of reviewing and it was on the list and they just were like, we're going to look at this part that happened in the middle of these other two at another time because I've got a meeting to run to and I can't be here any longer. But for it to come out 24 hours later after there's a fan uproar is a bad look for the league.
Oh, of course.
It's awful. It's almost as bad as the fact that all 3 of these incidents that had to be corrected by committee came in a game officiated by your head of officials.
I was waiting for that one.
I was getting there.
I knew you were.
Chat was there 10 minutes ago.
All right, who had 23 minutes into the call?
Darn it! I had 20. I was over.
It is,
so I put something into the chat for you two to take a look at. It is a clip that I made. Huh?
You also put it into your video. I was going to click on it, but
you can't do it.
I got it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's not a great look.
So I'm not going to put it up, but it is up there at this point. It's actually clipped on the channel right now, just because I was curious, but
I said that's a good sign. It's clipped on the Twitch chat.
I clipped it.
Oh well, there you go.
But I mean, yeah. So it essentially shows really what Huber was already talking about. Literally, Andreas makes the tackle, kind of makes a motion like, "What the heck?" Doesn't try to do anything, say, hey, you okay, or anything like that. Just walks right past him and goes to the bench. Like, That's not a good look. That does not look good at all.
Doesn't even like look down.
No, he's just like blinders.
So I guess for the next 4 games, we're going to have Rafa's long-lost twin brother, Fafa, avenge.
I feel like you need a sign this weekend that says Fafa Godoy. R.I.P. Fafa Godoy.
I'll make a,
March 12th, 2024. March 13th, 2024.
I'll make a sign and post it or something.
I just need to check something because before I go on my,
it kind of makes you wonder.
Okay.
So there was another incident in Kansas City that sent shockwaves through the league, and it was the Derek Huffman Neto spit on Huffman or something like that.
mm-hmm.
I wonder if fan interaction or fan videos came into play for that one.
I feel like it had to.
I know where you're going with this.
Well, no, I'm curious to see if it's similar in nature to that. Like if a fan video fell into the lap of the MASL, they're like, oh well, let's review this. And
Yep.
Now I guess I'll throw in my 2 cents on the suspensions because I didn't say anything.
Yeah, what the heck?
My biggest issue is that these all have to come after the fact, and they clearly had an impact in how this game played out. Like
even the yellow card would have had an impact.
Yeah,
to a certain extent, yes. You're correct.
If you get Andreas with that yellow, the additional yellow that he should have had, he sits for 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, he would have been stuck in the penalty box. He scored 2 goals in real life.
Yep.
That took it from 5-4 to 6-5. If Santana gets slapped with a card immediately, does Marquez retaliate later in the game? Or does he avoid the card altogether? Because, the officials were actually doing their job and got a hold of things before they escalated.
Yeah.
I think the outcome is still the same. I think.
Oh, I'm not saying it changes the game overtly, but it certainly impacted the final line.
Right. I agree to that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Andreas, if he had served that, I still think Utica loses. I mean, quick take on that game. I mean, they were gassed. You can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Especially the second half, it was rough.
Yeah, I think they lost their composure a little bit, obviously with Sanchez's thing. But I mean, it affected the game, but didn't affect the outcome.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's talk head of officiating here, because this isn't the first time this season the committee has had to step in after a game that he was officiating got out of hand. You guys remember the hour-long fourth quarter in Tacoma between the Sockers and the Stars?
Yeah, they just
finished. The game that never ends.
No, it just finished. Yeah.
Oh, it's just now.
Yeah, just
wow.
Finished. Yeah.
I'm impressed. I didn't think it was ever going to be done.
No, it finally did.
They had like
impressive.
14 cards or something like that.
A great ending, yeah.
Where people were throwing punches
to the finish line
faces, and eventually, and no one was paying attention to the midline for if anyone was jumping early or.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and the funny thing with that is Tacoma actually has an overhead camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't know why that was not utilized. I don't understand that.
That is a case of it affecting the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
100%. You look at You look at these two games, refereeing wise. Both were controversial in nature.
Mm-hmm.
One was a complete, I won't say blowout, but I'll say one was
a lopsided victory.
A lopsided victory by the City. This game was into overtime. It was a definite. It affected it. I mean, 1 point, but still, that Tacoma San Diego game, that the DRC should have done a lot more with that game
mm-hmm.
than they did. But I don't know.
Do you guys know the 4 games that Utica has played in that Sigich has overseen this year?
You did send that stat out.
So I've mentioned that they're 1-3 in those games. Yep. Do you know what 4 games they were?
No, but I bet you're going to tell me.
No, I think I know. It was this one against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Was there one at home against Monterey?
Home against Monterey.
I wanted. Was he refereeing against Texas?
No.
No, he wasn't. Okay.
No,
so
that was the Miller and Foster show day.
Then it would probably be like a game in Baltimore or something like that. Okay. And
gosh darn it, Brandon. We're trying to have a conversation. Can't be sending that in the chat.
You guys didn't give me a chance to say it. I had it all prepared.
It just popped up on my screen.
I'm sitting over here thinking, smoke's coming out of my ears, and then I see that, and I'm like, there it goes right out the crapper. So, okay, so
darn it.
It had to be like maybe a game against Harrisburg where we won one.
Mm. Both games in Kansas City.
Oh.
The first game in Milwaukee, and then the Monterey game. Remember a controversial call in that game in Milwaukee, the first one? The penalty shot that wasn't a penalty shot that they didn't actually review, but it showed up on the Jumbotron and they overturned.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That was with our favorite. That was Sigich and our favorite referee that got chased out of the 1998 Pan America Games by a team for his officiating there.
I haven't seen much of him in Utica this year.
No.
That is one of the greatest videos ever. I love it. If you haven't watched it, it's like that.
All that said, my biggest gripe, and I made it very clear on one of the posts in the box, a very long response to a comment just saying that, I guess this is just a everybody hates KC or group now. And it's that, I forget where I was going with this, is that these officials don't seem to have to be held accountable for their laissez-faire or incompetence or missing of pretty easy calls that result in things turning ugly.
You made a point, because I mean you can, and we do this all the time. We compare professional leagues, our league, to other leagues, and you said it. I mean, geez, I remember one of the worst Major League Baseball umpires, Angel Hernandez. I mean, dude was awful. I don't know. Did he ever?
He's still in the league.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah. He missed like half the year last year. I think
he got LASIK or something. But what I'm saying is, like, I'll go to football then. Football, if you have a referee that is not up to snuff, where they're not reffing these like big playoff games.
Yeah.
You don't see a guy with 200 vision reffing a Super Bowl because he can't see anything. I mean, but now we've got fill in the blanks. I'll just say.
Yeah, it's but let's say you guys had the ability to make a decision regarding officials that consistently let games get out of control. How would you handle it? Like, what would you dole out as the equivalent for suspensions?
I'll say this. Okay, so I had either last year or 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to sit in on a referee conference call with Ryan Sigich and all the referees in the MASL. I believe M2 was in there as well. And they went over basically like under review and showed them the clip. All right. What do you guys think? And gave 4 choices. It was A, B, C, or D. And all of the calls, every time, were consistently like 95% A, 95% B. One where I was the 2%. Thankfully, he didn't call me out on it. But I think for the league, I think if something like this were to happen, maybe, and I know game times, I know it's family friendly and it's like 2 hours or something like that. Take that couple of minutes and review it. Like, okay, go back and review this. Or go on the headset and go to the 3rd or 4th referee. Hey, go and we're going to look at blah, blah, blah. Take that extra time. Because when you come out with these suspensions 3 or 4 days after the match, it's making you look kind of,
It's like, hey, we messed up, so we realized that we messed up. It's literally admitting fault, just about saying that, hey, our officiating during the game was not executed properly, so we're going to rectify it after the fact. But the problem is that, as we've seen, it can influence the outcome of games, but they don't go back and redo the games. They don't go back and reverse a goal or something like that. I'm not even talking about the KC game. Like, if anything, it would be more influential with the Tacoma game. Tacoma San Diego would be even more influential there. They can go back and essentially retro these calls, but it still doesn't change the outcome of those games. That in some cases it literally affected the outcome.
Yeah, and you look like right now, Texas and Tacoma are tied. I think Tacoma actually leapt over Texas after this game, if I remember correctly. But what if it boils down to 1 point? What if Texas is ahead of Tacoma by 1 point, or they're at the end of the season? That's not only affecting the game, that's affecting playoff seeding. That's affecting playing in this round. Now, granted, you either get Chihuahua or San Diego. It's not like the East where no one wants Monterey. So in that case, it's like pick your poison. But what if you're tied at the end of the season? That right there affects everything. Tacoma could have had 3 points.
Yep.
So you're not only affecting the present, you're also affecting the future, possibly. Now, it'll all be water under the bridge if that's not the case. But To answer your original question, Matt, I don't know. I don't know what you do with referees that underperform. I mean, sending them down to M2, having them run Harrisburg games, I don't know.
I don't think, sending them down to M2 or, I mean, a punishment is not really going to fix the root of the problem. Some sort of remedial training, remedial something is what would potentially at least help to move towards a resolution. Having better ways of recognizing, basically rebuilding their, I want to say essentially like their pattern recognition. Maybe that needs some sort of remedial training, however they would accomplish that, watching game videos and, another referee knows exactly what the calls, should be based on a panel from other people. And so they put it together saying, hey, these are what we believe the calls are, and make sure that that person comes to the same conclusion. And if they don't, have them figure out why they didn't come to that conclusion. That's how I would look at it.
Okay. So I guess this is how I would step in and start fixing officiating in the MASL. Number one, Ryan Sigich, you can remain head of officials. You're not officiating any more live games. That position needs to be separate from the on-field officials. You need to be a separate entity that can oversee and review and correct and instruct everything else that goes on. Number two, any play that might potentially be a red card, if it's a blue and a yellow, it should immediately get reviewed for a red card. With that happening,
okay, I can see that.
With that happening, it needs to go to not one of the on-field officials. Your senior referee on the field should not be the person reviewing his own calls. There's just too much bias there.
You're kind of like what the NFL does. The replay is going to go to New York.
Yeah, NFL, MLB, it goes to someone else not involved in the play.
Have a senior referee on call.
Yes.
I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Which, you know what? If you had talked a job for a head of officials, that's a great one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
And number three, you got to grade their performance each week. And if they aren't at 85%, your grade needs to be high because you're trying to have a good product here.
And to clarify, we're not talking graded on the grade scale of public opinion.
No.
How many things had to be fixed potentially after the fact, especially that's a big check mark right there, is if one of your calls had to go to DRC, had to go to whatever, that is a huge, that deserves hey, now we need to do something about this.
It erupts in multiple scrums. If players are throwing punches, if things are generally getting out of hand, that should be probably a failing grade for that week. You failed to keep things under control and running smoothly. Your job as a referee is kind of administrative. You know what I mean? You are there to manage the flow and the play of the game to make sure that players are safe and that things don't get out of hand. And if it's continually getting out of hand, that's a failing grade.
Yeah, now, that means you're doing something wrong.
Yes.
Now, do the third and fourth referees on the sidelines, do they contribute at all? Why I'm asking is, what if they see something? What if one of them saw the back of the head hit by Santana to Marquez? Can they say, throw a flag or something saying, hey, we need to look at this right now. This is what I saw.
Yeah, they should absolutely have a whistle or something to blow play dead and be like, hey, I saw this. We need to do an official review. Because we understand there's two guys on the field or two people on the field. They can't see everything, but you have
especially in a fast-paced sport like indoor soccer. I mean, you're bound to miss something. I mean,
yes,
no
of
referee is perfect, and no referee is perfect in the eye of the public opinion as well.
That's for sure. It never will be.
Yeah. But the fact is that mistakes are going to be made. It's just the quantity of the mistakes
and how impactful they are.
Yes.
Right.
Like those are big changes that should be made moving forward. And if their, score for the whole season is too low, they don't get to officiate any playoff games. If you have too many incidents that, you hit X number of incidents that have to get reviewed by the DRC, you have to go through a remedial course, as you mentioned, Brandon.
Yep.
But something needs to be done just to try to smooth things out.
Yeah, that Santana Marquez thing could have been avoided.
Completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with, you could tell Utica was getting frustrated. They were losing their composure. Call the captains over, say, hey, going forward, guys, we're going to be calling everything.
Yeah.
Blue cards, yellow cards. Just tell your guys. And
Get them under control.
That's one thing that they did very well in the game against Milwaukee, at home, the Utica against Milwaukee. They went right up to whoever and said, hey, you guys need to cut the crap.
Yeah. Things were getting extremely...
If you talk back, which Leite did, boom, yellow.
And Hundell did. He got double slapped with the yellow.
So it's like, we're not messing around.
Yeah.
We have these in our pocket. We can use them whenever we want.
Yes.
Yeah, the crackdowns need to come because it keeps the game on track. And that's what you want. You don't want your product being dead ball time as everybody's milling about trying to figure out what just happened or who's going where. I'd really love to see them crack down on players arguing with blue cards.
Yep, 5 seconds.
Get your card, head to the box. After you're jawing for so long, here's your yellow.
2,
yeah,
3. And if you're not in, descent. 1, 2, 3. And then you just keep going. I mean, it's like when you were in school, you did something wrong, got your name on the board. Well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's a generational thing. But you got your name on the board. But if you kept it up, you got a check mark. You kept it up, you got a check mark. Mm-hmm. You keep going until you get 5 check marks and you're out.
Yep.
Luckily, that never happened to me. But
no, I understand there's a fine line between, calling everything and letting the players play.
Yeah.
But when the letting the players play continually lets things escalate to where games are derailed, you're losing focus on what's actually happening. It turns into retaliation plays instead of just playing the game. Then the officials have failed at their job at that time.
Yeah. You should. So we're speaking of referees, and I'm going to harken back to Eric Berger's interview with Ryan Sigich. And Ryan Sigich was, I don't know if you guys know this, he was a referee in one of the most controversial games in indoor soccer history. It was back in 2005. It was the Chicago Sting versus the Cleveland Force. This is the game. I'm sure I've talked to you guys about it, but this is the game where it was a full-on brawl. Former coach of Utica City, Ryan Hall, was in it. Assistant coach Adewato Neto for Baltimore was in it. Danny Waltman was there. I mean, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. But Ryan Sigich was a part of that.
Oh, they have the whole video on YouTube. Great.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. Watch it with the Benny Hill theme in the background. There's actual highlights, and then there's the brawl, and then there's more highlights. But Ron Corey, Ryan Sigich were a part of it. And he even said, he goes, we tried keeping it under control, but sometimes.
Oh yeah, there are times.
Sometimes it doesn't work, and that is a prime example of something that got out of control a little bit. But the way they handled that for the Milwaukee Utica game was how every game, even if you have like the slightest inkling that something might happen,
mm-hmm.
nip it in the bud right then and there. It's going to avoid injury. It's going to avoid probable DRC reviewing.
And it's going to avoid this public opinion talk where fans and us have to be like, hey, what is wrong and how do we fix it?
Yeah, and Kansas City fans with their pitchforks and the lighted torches going to the MSL office and we want a review.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think we're all in agreement. We get why it happened, but how do we stop it from happening?
Yes, and make it less frequent. Like there's under 200 games. Like I think this year there's under 175 games in the regular season, and every week we're having this conversation with one fan base in the league, at least.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're having some sort of conversation regarding officiating in the league.
And you know,
almost, every week.
Here's what sets it apart from everything else. Yes, we complain. We're complaining right now. We're old man yelling at a cloud or something, whatever. Yeah. But we're trying to give solutions, right? We're trying to say we understand. We understand that there are some times where a referee doesn't see something or stuff gets out of hand. Here's how to fix it. Boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
They can take that advice. They can do whatever they want with it. Probably nothing will happen, but it's there. So I know we complain, and that's fine. Every I can guarantee you every team has fans that complain.
Yeah, I mean
where are the solutions? Where
you
know.
Yeah, it's heck, I mean, I've told the story when I was like 12 years old, umpiring my little brother's baseball game, and I threw out his coach. Like, there are times as officials where you just need to wield that band hammer. Yeah, that's just kind of a venting session tonight, guys, and
yeah, I didn't have to pay any psychiatry fees or anything like that.
So, no Santana for the next 2 games. We already know we're going to be really tight on players here going into this weekend. Less than 24 hours in the transfer trade portal window. Anything happen here?
I got nothing. Nothing on the trade front, the free agent front.
I'm feeling like nothing.
I have no news. I have nothing.
Hopefully nothing means that like there's good news about some injuries from previous weeks.
Yeah. That's what we would need something.
I'm sure that some of the players will be at that trivia thing tomorrow, so we can kind of, well, I won't be there, but to pick their brains.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting towards the end of the playoffs, and I'll run this by you guys because I didn't get a chance to do that to you the other day. But, I mean, yeah, we made the playoffs, but do you think it looks like we're either going to be the 2 or the 3? When do you think, when do you say, all right, we're just going to start resting guys? If and when, because I mean we're down quite a few.
I would say that would depend on what sort of lead we could have on Kansas City. If we can pull ahead, if they have 3 games left, if I remember, 2 games left.
They have 2 games left. We have 4. Milwaukee has 3, and Kansas City has 2.
So I would say this: if we were to win our next game, and they drop one, they drop their one of their next game, which I don't even remember who they play.
I think they play St. Louis.
They play St. Louis next, and then they play
San Diego.
Soccer's last.
And Milwaukee also plays San Diego that same exact weekend.
Yes. So I would say, well, it's tough because you want to rest them as soon as possible, but you also don't want to be that 4th spot.
I think, and I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. I think out of the 3 teams in the playoffs, I think Utica has the best chance of beating Monterey in a mini game. Based solely on their experience on a small field, I think if we took care of business at home, I think we would have the best chance of winning a home game and then winning a mini game.
But we weren't able to take care of business at home the first time.
Or the second time. Utica's 0-2 in mini games since coming to Utica.
I was talking about against Monterey.
Okay.
I was literally, I wasn't. I know
I'm just thinking mini games.
We have a history with mini games. Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to, no matter what, you're going to have to win on your field plus win a mini game, because you're not winning a full 60-minute game in Monterey. Baltimore almost did it, and good for them, but so you're saying if we win Harrisburg on Sunday, do we start then? Do we start the second game against St. Louis?
Honestly, I think it depends on if you get home field for the first round locked up. And the only reason I say that is because you still haven't won at at Panther Arena.
Yeah.
Right.
And going there and having to win in a 15-minute game is...
But going there with the team we had this week?
Right. But the 2 times we've been there this year, we've been devastated by injuries.
Yeah, no Coughlin the first game. No Tayu Andrade, Goldman. Yeah, there was a lot. So I think with the schedules the way they are, obviously we have the easiest schedule out of the 3. We still have a game at hand against Milwaukee, 2 against Kansas City. So even if we beat Harrisburg, we go back into second place.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee still has, I think, St. Louis, Monterey, Dallas. I think it's Dallas away at Monterey and home against San Diego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3 points. So Milwaukee's going to have 3 more points. So add 3 to whatever they have.
Okay. So Utica needs at least 6.
Okay. So win against Harrisburg, win the following Saturday against St. Louis. We lock up second place. Put in the B squad. Put in Kreishnik against St. Louis. Baltimore. Who knows? Put in the B squad against Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could kind of see that. like I said, I think it's just we got to secure our place before we start resting guys. That's what it boils down to.
I mean, and looking at, I mean, we're looking ahead. I understand, but when would we have a round one game? When would we host a round one game?
Oh, it'd be that first week, and it'd be somewhere else. It'd be in Central New York, but the IIHF,
or
it's literally like you have one day, maybe 2 days where you could squeeze it in,
or you play it out until the 14th of April, which
and then have to go without
and
then have to go without Frank and Nilton and Everton.
Yeah. Yep.
So
kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that I would love to talk about, but there's not enough time. That peeves me beyond belief, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a question for the league for how seriously they want to be taken, and if you don't do an international break when you could be missing players from 5 of 8 playoff teams. Impact players. Stinson, Frank, Nilton, Ortiz, Mendez, Raga.
Yeah, Texas, I mean, all those teams are screwed. So you're pretty much saying, like, okay, San Diego, Chihuahua, Monterey, and
even Milwaukee would be missing Leite.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're missing one. Kansas City's missing Reggett. We'd be missing Nilton and Frank. Texas is just, you got Mendez, Ortiz, and Morales.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. So the playoffs are going to be a watered down version, anyways.
It kind of is. Yeah.
Get to the second round. First round's great, but when you get to the second round,
everyone slaps asterisk on the 2021 championship that San Diego won because it was only 7 teams in the COVID season and everything.
Yep.
I mean, when we had Shea McNamara on here, I mean, he literally said the same thing. There's going to be an asterisk on this season because of that.
Takes it seriously, which everything we've heard sounds like they're not going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like if you wait until past the 3rd week of April, the AHL is done, and outside of playoff games, there's nothing going on.
And then
which would open up arena availability for a lot of teams.
Yes, it would.
But a lot of outdoor teams will start their seasons, and you've got TST coming up in June. I think the Kings Cup is coming to Utica.
I know it's coming back. I don't know if it's coming to Utica, but
I've heard rumblings that it might be coming to Utica. So
nice.
That would be fun. That'd be good.
That'd be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I guess the last thing, we had a quick question on Twitter about rosters and how they work. 26-man maximum active. Has to have at least 2 goalkeepers.
Yep.
I think it's 4 inactive you can have, or something like a 30 max with now.
I heard bar graphs and pie charts and things for the roster.
But the second part of the question was, why haven't we taken Nate and put him on the inactive or made him an assistant coach like they did with Timmy last year, so that he could be there on the bench supporting the guys and open up a roster spot?
Well, I mean, yeah, we should make Nate inactive. He is still recovering from hip surgery, so he is still on the mend. We did trivia last week, and it was a question, and Julian FaceTimed Nate to everyone, and it seemed like he was home resting. So,
yeah,
I would imagine if I know Nate the way I know Nate, he will be there come playoff time. Maybe not this weekend or next weekend, but playoffs, he'll be there.
Which is why you don't necessarily take him off the roster, is because he could be a wild card going into the playoffs.
No, I don't think he'll be anywhere near ready to play.
Yeah, I know. But I meant more of like an influence than anything.
Well, yeah, you just put him as team staff assistant coach, like they did with Timmy last year.
With Tommy. That's what they did with Tommy this weekend. He was on the bench. I had someone in Twitch chat going, "Where's the GM? How's the GM get on the bench?" It's like, write his name down on the piece of paper.
Yeah, do you say our assistant couldn't travel? We're allowed this many people on the bench.
Funny story. So when Utica went to Milwaukee, the first time, I forget which one. I was jokingly asking Coach Giuliano Oliviero if I could sit on the bench, and he goes, "Oh yeah, all you got to do is wear a suit." I'm like, so anyone can really.
All right, somebody get me in touch with Vitali.
I would have been on the bench as
yeah, right.
Coach.
I will get a lot of yellow cards down there, but there will be no question if the players can hear me. Not that there is now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that has come into question. Everyone can hear you.
Hey, Tammy, how's it going? You were loud today. Yeah, I do that.
You have ruffled several feathers of the, especially that one guy, because he thought you said something besides Sigich.
Yeah.
I wish I had been there for that. I would have loved to be. I would have loved to experience that.
And then the guy goes like this. He's like,
I don't know.
To the other fans.
Yeah, because there were other fans that started heckling this guy that came up and told me to knock it off.
Yeah, they show him like this, like some sort of. We don't know what it was.
Yeah,
a pass or something, whatever. But yeah.
Yep. I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm just not.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else for tonight. You guys?
I got nothing.
I'm starving.
I'm sleepy. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for having on, doing this emergency pod.
Anytime.
Show, whatever you want to call it.
It's always fun.
Anytime. You know where to find me.
No, that's 1980s. Steamers versus Force Brawl.
Oh yeah,
it was like 2005. There it is.
2005.
Force and Storm.
Yep.
I must have clicked on a second. Anyway, I'm gonna go watch that brawl.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Does it live up to Malice in the Palace?
So I'll kind of give it away a little bit, but I don't think the Malice in the Palace had someone with a flying kick.
No, but they did have a fan get punched quite a few times.
Well,
I think you should just watch it.
So
let me know.
Why am I drawing a blank on the man? Eric Cantona, Manchester United legend, Eric Cantona, with his flying kick. Because a Nazi said something very offensive to him. He kicked this guy in the first row of the stands as he was already being thrown off the field.
Okay.
he got red carded
rather quickly to.
Okay.
You'll see. Just let me know.
Still watch it.
Yeah, I got like 7 minutes to watch. So.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it as soon as I get to microwave my food.
All right. Well. All right. Brandon, just send us off with your meme that you sent the chat, but you got to do it in accent.
Planning on it.
Otherwise, go Utica.
Yes, we will see you all next week. And my name is Fafa Godoy. You stepped on my brother. Prepare for hogs.
Go Utica. Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing. Go Utica City.